The BVI could soon look to Africa for potential economic opportunities in financial services, emerging technology sector, and other markets, while forging deeper relations with African government and business partners. Aubrey Huby, along with Jake Bite, who co-authored the book The Next Africa, sees Nigeria and other African states as emerging economies offering potential business opportunities for BVI's financial services sector. She was the guest speaker at the first in a series of conversations with Business BVI held at Maria's by the Sea Hotel on April 12th.
What can BVI do? One, I think it's to begin to map the space in terms of the private equity funds, the mergers and acquisitions that are happening. Who are the players? And then begin to meet the players. They got to know you. This is still an emerging market where relationships define business. People have to know and see you. I think you have an advantage to some in that there's often a natural predilection and a liking between African countries and the Caribbean. They feel they've shared similar historical challenges and that there may be some understanding, similar to the idea that you are in the diaspora, and there must be a way to figure out how to work together. And then coming up with some very specific type partnerships.
In 2013, the World Bank estimated that Africa's farmers and agribusinesses could create $1 trillion food market by 2030. This is in keeping with Huby's projection that Africa would emerge as a global powerhouse by the year 2030.
The time frame is 2030, 2050, because if you think and you look at McKinsey's projections, 1 in 4 workers by then will be African. Imagine. Globally, 1 in 4 workers. Because the aging populations of Europe, Japan, et cetera, young people, I mean, demographics are destiny to some extent. Wherever the young people are, one of the reasons why the US has maintained growth during these difficult times is that we still have positive population growth because of immigration. Europe, I mean, you'll get to a point where there'll be like 1 working Italian for 8 pensioners. And you have very, very strong social net, expensive social programs. What do? How do you afford it? And meanwhile, they don't like immigration. So this issue is going to become acute in Europe. And Africa has the people. So at some point, the economist in me has to believe that manufacturing will move to Africa, because wages in China have already raised 60%. And if you have 1 in 4 workers globally being in Africa, to me, that is a global powerhouse. And secondly, let's not forget, on a diplomatic perspective, when African countries do want to use their clout, they have the largest numbers of votes in the UN. They have the largest number of votes in the WHO, the WTO. So it's just a question of how and whether they use those votes wisely. They tend to keep solidarity.
Conversations with Business BVI is a discussion series intended to provide opportunities for members of the Business BVI family and the wider community to engage in stimulating discussion on the critical issues shaping the future of the BVI in the business and economic space.